Gentlemen, it's that time of the year again where summer is just around the corner, so therefore I want to show you gentlemen my top 5 summer fragrances out of my entire fragrance collection. So here are the very best from my selection of fragrances. Let's not waste any more time and let's begin. Before I start the list of my top 5 best, I quickly want to mention some honorable mentions. One of them is Scentual Obsessions Morning Zest, which is a clone of the now discontinued Thierry Mugler Amen Ultra Zest. This is a creamy vanilla base with a very zesty, rindy and juicy blood orange and tangerine opening. Such a great cheap pickup, which I think is stunning, especially if you want that Mugler type DNA. And you can't forget the legendary Giorgio Armani Acqua di Profumo. It is now discontinued and replaced with the new Parfum, but I think Profumo is just a tiny bit better. Scentual Obsession Morning Zest has an 8.7 out of 10 minutes improvement rating, whereas Giorgio Armani's Acqua di Profumo has an 8.9 out of 10 minutes improvement rating. Let's start the official list with the 5th spot. On the 5th spot, I have a grapefruit balm with a mint improvement rating of a 9.6 out of 10, and that is Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue Forever. This is my most favorite fragrance from the entire Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue line because it is very pungent and strong with this very noticeable, rindy, zesty grapefruit note that it has at the top. Whenever this fragrance gets to develop itself in the scent profile in the mid and the base, this becomes ozonic, light, airy and uplifting. In the base becomes a very clean, musky and slightly dry fragrance that is super unique in my opinion. It lasts 10 to 12 hours on my skin with around an arm's length of projection in the first hour or so, which then becomes a very mild skin scent that you sometimes can get a whiff of because of great sillage and projection that this also carries. This is in my top 5 best summer fragrances for a reason, because it is such a delightful citrus fragrance that actually packs a punch. It's unfortunately discontinued as far as I understand. It is sometimes available some places, but it vanishes very quickly because it's in very high demand. But I think if you can get your hands on it and if you like grapefruit fragrances, this is as good as they come in the designer realm of fragrances. And that was Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue Forever. On the 4th spot, I have a fragrance that has a 9.8 out of 10 minutes improvement rating that has recently gone into Tom Ford's signature line of fragrances that have started off being in the private line, which is the one that I own, and that is Tom Ford Oud Minérale. If you like fragrances like Orto Parisi Megamare, then I think you will love this fragrance. If you're thinking of a summer fragrance being bright, citrusy, fresh and clean, then Oud Minérale is the complete opposite of that. Oud Minérale is going to be green, algae-like and slightly aromatic because of the seaweed accord at the top. It's going to be salty, aquatic and marine-like, most likely because of an aroma chemical called calome that mostly is used to give off a marine and aquatic-like feel to a fragrance. And in the base, this fragrance utilizes ambergris and oud to give the fragrance a strong backbone. This is strong, deep, dark, dry, woody and green, and will most likely remind you of the deep sea and the ocean. This is a very unorthodox and unique type of summer fragrance in my personal opinion. This fragrance in my opinion will suit a person that is looking for a fragrance they can wear in the high heat that utilizes oud as a note. On my skin as well, this lasts 10 to 12 hours with 1 to 2 meters of raw projection in the first hour or two, which then becomes a moderate projection for a few more hours, which then dries off to being a mild skin scent. And that was Tom Ford Oud Minérale. On the 3rd spot, I have a fragrance that I initially gave a 9.7 out of 10, but because of this video I will bump it up to a 10 out of 10 because it's my personal favorite summer fragrance of all time, and that is Terence Hughes Blood Orange. Tangerine, blood orange and mandarin at the top give this fragrance a very bright, juicy, rindy and slightly dark citrus heavy feeling that is to die for in my opinion. There's some minor hidden but sometimes noticeable white floral nuances coming from Jasmine Sambac, which I think is pleasant, unique, and adds some brightness to already very bright and juicy citrusy nuances that are at the top of the fragrance. This on my skin also lasts 10 to 12 hours with great projection for the first half an hour, which then becomes a moderate to mild scent which can get picked up once in a while. I think this is a delightful citrus heavy fragrance, and unfortunately this fragrance is discontinued nowadays. The bottle I have here is the last of its kind, which is a 2022 version of the fragrance, which was the last version of it before it got discontinued, and that is Terence Hughes Blood Orange. On the second spot is the newest addition into fragrances. I have given a 10 out of 10 minutes improvement rating, and that is Louis Vuitton Pacific Chill. Pacific Chill is a concoction of everything a summer fragrance needs. There's some sweet, juicy citruses, there's some slightly darker berry sweetness, and there's a sharp mintiness to it as well that in the end comes together and gives you this cocktail of summer. This smells of summer like no other fragrance I have tried, but yet it's still very familiar and mass appealing. This is fruity, juicy, sweet, minty, sharp. It gives somewhat of an aquatic feeling even though it's not listed, but together it becomes this cocktail of summer, which I think is super pleasant and overall a masterpiece from Jacques Cavalier, which really does an incredible job as the Louis Vuitton perfumer in my opinion. On my skin this lasts 12 plus hours, which also is an accolade for this fragrance to mention, and in terms of projection this gives off an arm's length for around an hour, which then becomes a moderate to mild skin scent. It's such a pleasure to wear. It's long lasting, it's juicy, it's sweet, it's fruity. It's basically a perfect summer fragrance in my opinion, and one that I definitely think you should check out or perhaps sample. The link is in the description, and that is Louis Vuitton Pacific Chill. And lastly, on the number one spot, and in my opinion the summer fragrance that the majority of you needs to check out, which is also a 10 out of 10 minutes improvement rated fragrance, is Stéphane Humbert Luca God of Fire. I've recently mentioned this fragrance in my 5 10 out of 10 niche fragrance list, and I think it definitely needs to be here as well. This is tropical, exotic, fruity, juicy, and clean. This is also very radiant and projects very well, lasts a long time, and is a fruity mango cocktail in a fragrance basically. This is made to be a summer fragrance, and in my opinion this is masterful work as a fruity mango heavy summer fragrance that becomes a clean white musk scent with a touch of fruity sweetness as well that is maintained throughout the lifetime of the fragrance. Which, speaking of the lifetime of the fragrance, this lasts 17 plus hours on my skin and has 1 to 2 meters of raw projection for a good amount of hours, which then becomes a mild skin scent. So it's very impressive that this lasts for such a long time for a fresh fruity fragrance that also projects very well. It's super strong, potent, exotic, juicy with this very prominent and unique mango note, which I think makes this fragrance stand out from other summer fragrances. Hence why I have given this fragrance a solid 10 out of 10 minutes improvement rating. This has quickly become one of my go-to summer fragrances that I will most definitely pick up a bottle of in the very near future. Gentlemen, what do you think of my list of my top 5 summer fragrances from my collection? What is your go-to summer fragrance or summer fragrances? I would love to see your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below, and with some suggestions of your go-to summer fragrances. Also, gentlemen, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe to the Minutes Improvement YouTube channel for more videos about fragrances, grooming, style, fashion, skincare, fitness, watches, everything that will make you, gentlemen, the best possible version of yourselves. The last few things that I want to ask you, gentlemen, is to smile more because it's free, and I want you to watch these 2 videos right here. This one here below is going to be my latest upload, whereas this one up here is going to reveal that the YouTube algorithm thinks you will enjoy.